Okay, so this lesson goes with section 3.1. I'm just going to talk about the difference between an electrolyte and a non-electrolyte. So it's the electrolyte and the non-electrolyte. So basically what you have here is you have something like sodium chloride, which is a salt, and then you add water. And what's going to happen in water, because this is something called an ionic compound, it's going to break up into its individual ions in the water. So you have sodium ions and chloride ions with their charges as well. And a non-electrolyte is something where you have glucose, for example. You add some water, and what's going to happen is, because this is a covalent compound, it does not break down into ions. In fact, it stays intact, and you still have an aqueous phase like you do up here. So you have aqueous and aqueous. It just doesn't break up into like positives and negatives, okay? So that would be an example of a non-electrolyte, and this one will not conduct, okay? And then this one here conducts electricity because you have the positives and the negatives. Now, really quickly here, I just want to look at ionic and covalent compounds in a little bit more detail. So an ionic compound is something that has a metal and a non-metal, and they will break up into ions in the water. And then covalent or molecular compounds are mostly made up, well, they're 100% made up of non-metals, and they will stay the same in water. Okay, so what I mean is, like, they do not break up. Like here, it's not going to break up. So if you take a look at these examples here, so here you have iron 3 chloride. Is that an example of ionic or covalent? Well, because you've got a metal right there, this is going to be an ionic compound. If you take a look at this one here, phosphorus trichloride, that is a covalent compound. NO, nitrogen monoxide, is another covalent compound. And then here you have H3SO4. It looks like some sort of an acid. It should actually be H2SO4, not H3. So here you have sulfuric acid. So all acids and bases will break down in water, and we're going to learn more about this in the next chapter. So here what you have is, once again, something that is an ionic compound. So you actually have H plus SO4 2 minus, and then you have two of these guys right there. So for this chapter here, or for this section, what you guys want to know is, you want to know the difference between an electrolyte and a non-electrolyte, what happens when you add water, and then you also want to know, how do you tell if something is ionic and something is covalent. So that's a bit of a review from grade 11, okay? So you guys need to know what ionic and covalent are.